This is a meeting of the Township Committee, February 1st, 2016. The notice requirement provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. The notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Star Ledger. The Independent and the Two-Bit Times and by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk on January 7, 2016. Committeeman Massat.
Here.
Committeewoman Murray.
Here.
Committeeman Sedembrino.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fury.
Here.
Mayor Shawson. Please rise for
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item on tonight's agenda, we have a public hearing of proposed ordinance 2016-3160, calendar year 2016 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank for NJSA 4-45.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2016-3160? Yes.
Yeah, my name's Don Watson, living at 1 Collinson Drive. I'd like to see if we get some clarification on this. Does this mean you're raising the budget by $1.8 million?
No,
Is that the adopted budget?
no, we haven't even introduced the budget. This is
Yeah,
an ordinance.
that's what I thought. I didn't think you had introduced it, so I didn't know how you could increase it.
Okay. This is an ordinance that allows us to increase the budget up and above what's allowable according to the appropriation cap. Doesn't mean we're going to raise it, and the real reason that we do it each year, it's done every year, is because it allows us to bank what we don't use. As you know, we have a record here that we keep the budget within, well within the limits and even below that. This, like I said, is just one of those things where if we don't do this, we can't bank what we don't use. And therefore, if for some reason in a future year we needed it, it wouldn't be available to us. And there's no in-between. You have to do 3.5%. That's what state law allows. So all you do is you take 3.5% based on appropriations from the prior year with some adjustments, and that's the amount that you're allowed to increase it over what the allowable amount is within the state, which is set annually.
Okay. So let's say we increase the budget by 2%. So that leaves another 1.5% that we're banking.
Right.
So we can spread that out over the next 2 years.
Well, it's allowed for the next, yes, 2 years on this cap. And this, like I said, is the appropriation cap, it's not the levy cap. And there's certain things within the budget by statute that have to be budgeted inside of cap, certain things are outside of cap.
Right.
Sometimes they get moved between. So there may not even be an increase overall, but if something gets moved inside the cap, you might need that room to allow it to be able to be moved within the cap.
Okay. Here in the third paragraph, it says up to 3.5%. So we could increase it 2.5%.
No.
Why does
State
it?
statute allows you to increase it to 3.5%, that's
When you're
it.
doing the cap bank, it's 3.5% or you don't do it at all.
Right.
And this is done by probably 565 municipalities this month of the year, every year. Just like you asked the same question of us, every year we do this ordinance.
Right.
It's a routine accounting measure that if the town hall burnt down and we need to spend some extra money to build a new town hall, then this would allow us to do it.
Every
It's
year
an
your
emer-
explanations
every
get
single
clearer
year.
and clearer.
All right.
But why does it say here it says up to 3.5%?
Because that's
That's,
the law.
right, that's the wording, this is a state.
ECA
Right,
form resolution.
right, it's
Right.
an
They
ordinance.
mean 0 or 3.5%,
Right.
I see.
nothing in between.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak to ordinance number 2016-3160? Seeing no further members of the public come forward, we can close the public portion and move for adoption.
Committeeman Massat.
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt this ordinance on second and final reading. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee to adopt a consent agenda, which would remove one resolution 16-82 for a separate vote.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt consent agenda. At this time, we have resolution 16-82, resolution for payment of bills, February 1st, 2016.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 16-82. A regular meeting for February 16th will include certificate of appreciation and proclamations, approval of minutes, public hearing of proposed ordinances, and introduction of proposed ordinances. Consent agenda will include resolutions, bingo and raffle applications, and volunteer firefighter applications. Discussion items for tonight, February 1st, 2016. We begin with the 2016 Sustainable Jersey Grant.
There's a memo in your packet that the Green Team is proposing to apply for a $20,000 grant to do sort of an educational program for the public to create maybe videos, educating people about the importance of various green initiatives. We are a bronze community with Sustainable New Jersey, which is pretty good. We're trying to get to silver. You need points to do that, so this will give us some points, help us still have a ways to go to get to silver, but we're trying to improve our position with Sustainable New Jersey, which again, the better we do with them, the more access we have to grants and things like that. So committee met last week or the week before last, I guess, right? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And came up with this concept for a grant application. If anybody has objections, we're going to pursue that.
We have a performance bond release for Mason, Jennings, and Sonic. And introduction of ordinance amending chapter 127-24, recreation fees.
Yeah, so I asked Janet to come to, you got a memo with some what looked like a lot of changes to the fee schedule. They're not really that substantive, really. It's just there's a lot of steps. So I'll just have her summarize what we're doing to the fee schedule.
Sure. It's the annual time of year that we put in for the fee changes for our summer camps. And when I started looking at our chapter, I realized that there's some more things that we could kind of tighten it up. So I actually went through all of the line items in our chapter 127-24 for recreation, and came up with a full list of all the things that we could work to amend. Number one would be the change in the department name. It still says the Parks and Recreation and Cultural Affairs, so we'd like to just get it out to be the Department of Recreation. I wanted to broaden the instructional sports line to then encompass sports and activities, as well as adjusting the fees to cover the instructor fee ranges. So right now we have a fee for instructional tennis, we have a fee for instructional softball, all these different instructional classes. So if you can broaden it and just do instructional sports, it kind of encompasses everything. Similarly with that, we have a separate fee for a sand volleyball tournament, a separate fee for a basketball tournament, a separate fee for a softball tournament, men's and women's. Again, I wanted to broaden that into the overall tournament fee instead of having all these different lines throughout the code. I also put in there too to remove different programs that we no longer run. For example, the art shows, which are run by the Arts Council, wrestling, the miniature golf course that we no longer have, as well as the skate park. So I put in to remove those completely. Changing the open gym program to include younger children and as a pay per visit structure. Wanted to bring that back. We don't really do that right now, but right now it's on an annual basis. We'd rather do it on a day-by-day basis. Increasing the summer recreational fees. Adding an additional special events line to encompass the various special events that you run throughout the year. And then overall, I did, when I put in for the Forestry Park fees originally in September, by mistake, I left out the summer camp fees for Forestry Park, so I added those in there as well. So if you do look at it, it does look like there's a ton of changes with lots of red and strikeouts, but
Sounds like a lot of updating. more than-
it's just, yeah, it's really just updating this,
Yeah.
tightening it up.
Do we have, and Colleen, you might be able to get this, but before we, I think a lot of these changes obviously make sense. But before we change any fees, whether it's summer recreation and/or anything else that we're changing a fee to, do we have any 2015 and/or 2014 data on those specific programs as to what the fees were, what the cost was of the program versus the revenue? This way, at least we could just
Yeah.
figure out ballpark, is this the right fee, is it too high, too low, because I just haven't seen anything. Before we could vote on a fee change, I'd like to just see the
Sure.
analysis behind it, if possible.
And
For next meeting.
Yep.
next workshop?
Well, is this coming up on the,
We were going to introduce this at the meeting on the 16th, so
well,
before
I'm
that.
gonna say, if you're gonna introduce on the 16th, then I'd like to see it before
Okay.
that. If you're going to, that's gonna take longer to get,
No,
then
that's
we
fine.
can go to next.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
If I understand to Deputy Mayor's comments, when you do that, if you can just show the percentage increase
From what it was.
previous to the proposed, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Township Committee comments.
Okay, Mr. Severino.
I'm ready for this evening, Mayor, thank you.
Who's up?
Just one quick comment on our DPW team and the snowstorm that we had last week. They did a phenomenal job. Just want to congratulate everyone. Got us out, kept everyone safe. It was great. No other comments.
Great, thanks.
I haven't had a chance to say anything to Ted, so fantastic work and great work by the administration, a lot of hours logged in the EOC, and really real good work with the GPS system and public information, keeping everybody informed, and I think that's also part of keeping people happy, besides just removing the snow, keeping people informed, so that was great, and I hope for no more snow. And I'm finished. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just really briefly, just to piggyback on my colleagues' points on the snowstorm, what's interesting is the ability of the technology that we've introduced, with the EOC, with DPW, under Ted's guidance and leadership, and Tony and Jim, the leadership of bringing in, everything from a technology basis to see everything real time. I just think, those spends that we've done over the last 4 or 5 years have just been, critical. If you look at this storm versus the one we had in 2010, which was almost the same amount of volume with the way that it was handled, based on those upgrades that we've made, it's just tremendous. So thank you all for that, and I'm glad that we were able to invest in that, because I think the public saw a difference by doing that. And then the only other good comment tonight, Mayor, is we passed a resolution this evening authorizing a study for the area of
Designation.
a designation of an area in need of redevelopment of the Port of Belford, which is an initiative that I know I mentioned and you mentioned in your comments on reorganization, which I think is just critical to the economic vitality. So a good first step towards a new potential big rateable for the township. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And briefly, I just want to pile on to Ted, I shouldn't use that word talking about a snowstorm, pile on, but what a great job, and an interesting phenomenon, getting calls of congratulations and thanks after a snowstorm. Almost unheard of, but it was tremendous, and the crew did a great job, start to finish. From Belford down to Lincroft, every part of town was raving about it. And I think the communication really made a big difference. So people at least knew what was going on, even if they hadn't seen the plow. They were really complimentary to everything. So high fives all around, as Jim likes to say. And I also want to mention about the Belford seaport, which is a great project. T&M did a great job on the report. And it really has so much potential, and it's one of those things that it's a clear diamond in the rough. It's not the easiest thing. You know, there are a couple of challenges that we have to deal with, but I think it's well worth it, and the potential is endless for what we can do there. And I think it's something that the whole town would really be proud of if we can, get this off the ground. We're going to have the seaport stocked with calls for you.
Oh, right.
So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, we have public comments.
Seeing no members of the public. I got a quick hook now.
How you doing? My name's Don Watson, living at 1 Collinson Drive. I wanted just to talk a little bit about the Belford Seaport project.
Excuse me, I just want to point out, please keep your comments to 5 minutes, so everybody gets a chance to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering what made you decide on the criteria in selecting the area that was involved with the study. You know, it seems like there's a lot of wetlands that were approved for redevelopment, and I brought this up at the planning board meeting too, and they assured me that you're not going to develop any wetlands.
Now,
But
they're within the boundary, but you can't develop things like wetlands or critical slopes.
Right, so
But
why
they're
was it even
including-
included in the study?
Because it's very awkward to cut out around, constrained areas like that.
A lot of the wetlands are all on one property, so you include entire properties. And redevelopment area designation doesn't do away with environmental regulations or anything like that. Those all still apply. But there's a potential for those areas to be used for recreation, for walking trails, hiking trails, bird watching habitat. So recreation is a part of redevelopment as well, not just building things.
Right. I just don't want to see what happened in Port Monmouth happen here in Belford with all the landfill that took place in Port
Can't happen
Monmouth.
anymore. Can't happen anymore.
150
Not
years
just
ago.
the
A lot of different rules now than those days.
I hope so.
Possible.
Is that it?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, that should do it. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else care to speak? Seeing no further members of the public come forward, we can close the public portion and move for adjournment.
Second.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Sharp.
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn.
You mentioned it, one
Okay.